What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back in to Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arts. We're going to hop right into some topics here. A lot of free agency updates and news more than anything right now. Not that anything drastic has happened, but there's going to be some names that are still out there. There still are some names out there that I think Denver should look into if they have the opportunity. Some people just signed, and some people shockingly are still on the market, but the first thing I want to talk about is somebody who's on the Nuggets, and I feel like we've talked about him a lot this offseason strictly because it's a contract year for him. He's a guy who it has the opportunity to make a difference for Denver if he's actually good enough to do so. And if I do sound a little off, it's because I'm dealing with a little bit of cold, allergies, all the fun stuff, you know. But the guy I want to talk about, obviously, if you could read right below, is Peyton Watson, who is just he's a monster when it comes to defense, right? I saw a stat, and it's the top 3-point shot blockers. So it's the total amount of three-pointers blocked in the last 3 regular seasons. The entire NBA is on this list, right? You think about the guys who are on the list from the entire NBA. Down the list, it goes Matisse Thybulle at 1, Tyrese Halliburton at 2, Scotty Barnes at 3, Draymond at 4, Herb Jones at 5, Derek White at 6, Pat Connaughton at 7, Shea at 8, 9 is OG Anunoby, and Peyton Watson is at 10 with 25 block shots. Now, he's had 3 years to do this, right? And you look at, this is his first 3 years in the NBA. You look at guys like Matisse Thybulle, you look at guys like Halliburton, they're more experienced than he is. Not saying that that's, the biggest deal in the world, but Peyton Watson's in a perfect situation to do that this year at the more of a small forward rate, I think, with Duran and Val being there. And being able to have those guys like Val, like Jokic, throw those outlet passes, Jamal, Tim Hardaway. I think that this could be such a good year for Peyton Watson. I was actually speaking to some guys today, and I said that I hope that he sort of transitions into a little but of a DJJ role, Derek Jones Jr., but maybe a little bit of a better shooter. But he plays that athletic wing kind of role for Denver. He's able to slash a little bit more. That's the one thing I've been saying about him all offseason is I would like to see him be able to finish at the rim more, strictly because he is a bigger body who's going to be probably playing the 3 more than the 4 this year, but we'll also probably see him at the 4 still. So if he's able to be a quick athletic 4 who could also knock down shots and be as good of a defender as we all know and think he should be, then I think that he could be a massive factor for this Denver team in being successful this year. And like I said, he's on a contract here. He wants to work his way into getting a contract, maybe not from Denver, but any other team. And with the free agency market, which we're going to get into, it seems a little scarce that teams are looking to sign some guys. So I want to hop right into this topic here, which is that the Mavs were able to bring back one of their players that they were actually looking to bring back in a while, and they got rid of Maxim Prosper for him, and that is Dante Exum. Now, I thought Dante Exum could have been a guy if Denver was able to go out and get before Tim Hardaway Jr. He could have made a bit of a difference for them. Now, I know it doesn't make sense because, like I said, they have an overabundance at shooting guard with Tim Hardaway there, with Bruce Brown there if they do bring in a point guard. I know that Exum could play the point guard, but he is more of a shooting guard. Now, he was a difference maker realistically for the Mavs last year. It's not that he's this massive player, but he averaged 8.7 points. You look at his 3-point percentage, he shot almost 3 threes a game and was shooting 43%. Now that's amazing. Like I said, I'm big on league average. The league average was 36% last year. This guy was shooting 43%. He was a difference maker when it came to shooting the ball. He was almost averaging 1 steal per game. When it came to the assists and rebounds, 3 assists, I think 2 rebounds or 1.5 rebounds, so nothing crazy, or right around 2 rebounds, so nothing crazy. But I thought that he could have been a good guy that Denver could have brought in that really could have been, a good player, maybe not the biggest difference maker, but somebody to play the role of, realistically, Tim Hardaway Jr. now. So it's nice to see that he got a contract. I do also think that depending on the team's health and when Kyrie Irving comes back, if he comes back this upcoming season, the Mavs are going to be a force. If they can hold their own while Kyrie is out, make a play, get a playoff spot, or work their way into even a play-in spot, I think that they could be dangerous. I think that, they just extended PJ Washington. They have AD. Cooper Flagg is supposed to be that guy. Gafford and Lively. Lively supposedly, I think they said, is 7'3" now. He was 7'2", and I guess he's gotten taller since. But I think they're a scary team in the Western Conference for me. I think that the amount of dominant bigs they have, And the fact that AD's back at the 4, Cooper Flagg's a big body, and they said they're going to be running him at the 1 at certain points this year. Clay and PJ Washington. I mean, you have a starting lineup of Cooper Flagg at the 1, Klay Thompson at the 2, PJ Washington at the 3, Anthony Davis and Derek Lively. That's a good 5. That's a really good 5, actually. I know it may not, compete with maybe even a team like Denver right now, but when you implement Kyrie Irving back into that lineup and then you can bring either Klay or PJ Washington off the bench, you're in a very good spot, in my opinion. Talking about free agency, like I said, going to continue with that. There's still some really big names who are free agents, guys who probably shouldn't be that are still in the market, who haven't been able to work out a deal. A lot of them are restricted, but you have the 4 restricted guys who are, like I said, surprisingly not on a roster yet. Josh Giddey, Jonathan Kuminga, Cam Thomas, and Quentin Grimes. Now, Denver can't afford any of them, unfortunately. If I were to bring any of them in, I would have loved Giddey as a backup 1. Cam doesn't really fit it. I'm interested to see what happens with Cam in Brooklyn because I think that him next to MPJ is going to be more of a competition for them to, as to who could get more shots up in a game. They're both going to be guys on a team that isn't necessarily that good who are just going to try to get their shots and get their stats up. I am very surprised that Quentin Grimes is not on the 76ers right now. He was great for them at the end of the year when they didn't have Paul George. He's probably going to have to play that role for them again this year because Paul George can't stay off the injured list. Joel Embiid can't stay off the injured list. They lose Yabu, so they actually have opportunity for him to go into the game, check in, and get some minutes. Kuminga, like I said, the Kings we're trying to make a deal for him for Malik Monk, which I'd be more nervous if they did that as a Denver fan, and Josh Giddey on the Bulls, which is another surprising report for me because I do think that he is pretty good. Now, the one thing I do want to cover when it comes to free agency and the Denver Nuggets and somebody who I think Denver should look into and try to bring in this year if it is a possibility. Like I said, I haven't heard anything yet about Kessler Edwards, not Walker Kessler. And that player is Cody Martin. I think Cody Martin is a guy who I've been saying the entire offseason Denver should look to bring in. Now, he did play on 2 teams this year. He played 39 games in Charlotte, 14 games in Phoenix, 53 games in total. Shot just under league average. Not just under. He shot very bad from the 3-point line, but that's something that you could work on. 6.8 points per game, 0.6 blocks, 1.1 steal, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. I think Denver should look to bring him in as a backup small forward, power forward combo. He's a guy who could probably play the 2 to 4. I know that they're probably not going to bring in a backup point guard. I would hope that they do, but it doesn't look very, it doesn't look like they're leaning towards doing that. They're probably going to stick with playing through their bigs as passers. So that's what we're going to see from them. And I think Cody Martin could be a guy who could come off the bench and actually do a little bit for them, maybe improve his shooting. And I think having a guy like Jokic around him would help him do that. But let's see what happens with Kessler Edwards and I guess we go from there. But that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. I will have another episode out for you guys tomorrow as long as I'm feeling fine. Thank you guys for checking it out. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you guys later.